Hi, I'm Jennifer Takaki. Welcome to this edition of the Pickle Club TV. This is pickle news that you can use. We're standing outside of Shaffer City, which is one of the top-rated oyster bars in New York City. And we're going to talk to the owner/chef/host about the history of oysters in New York City, as well as how to pickle them.
In November 1997, we signed a lease. Shaffer City Chop House was the name of the restaurant when we built the first business plan. When I found the space and saw the nautical tile and the way the restaurant was laid out, I did my due diligence, found out there were only 2 seafood restaurants in the neighborhood, and I decided to attack them both and make a seafood restaurant that was based upon oysters as a specialty. That didn't exist. There were only 9 oyster bars in New York when I did it, even though in the early to late 1800s, there were hundreds of them. Early 1800s to the early 1900s, New York City lived on oysters. It was the largest oyster beds in the world. Oyster Bay was called Oyster Bay because when you went to Oyster Bay, it was just oysters. And they were shucking them everywhere, and there were oyster bars on every street, on every corner, everywhere. I mean, that was just the way it was. When I was a child, Oyster Bay had already been destroyed by oil refineries and the like that were on Long Island. And the bay itself killed all the oysters. And most of the oysters on Long Island were destroyed in the 40s and 50s. They are since coming back. We were just written up as one of the world's best oyster bars by Travel and Leisure magazine. Oysters are bought from all over the United States, North America and South America, from farmers and private purveyors that we've developed over the years. And we even have our own oyster. So Schafer Cove is an oyster we make for us. We grow it, we cultivate it, and it's sold here only, and I won't sell it to anybody else. One oyster eats 10 gallons of water a day and purifies it. So if you put billions and billions of oysters into the Hudson, after hundreds of years, we'll actually have water again that you can drink and or eat. Sustainability, oysters are the reason that sustainability even exists as a word. It is nature's purification. It is what saved the world's waterways, and it will save it again. When you eat an oyster, there's no disclaimer, but you're actually eating a raw item that is loaded. It does have a chance to get you sick on any given moment, and you only go to reputable oyster bars to eat an oyster because you never know. Pickling helps because it's a curing agent. You're salting it, you're taking out the bad, and you're putting in a brine, different flavor, which allows it to last forever for the most part because it's got a pH and a density that doesn't allow most bacteria to live on it. I'm going to make 3 different kind of pickled versions of oysters. In one case, I'm going to pickle the oyster outright. In another case, I'm going to make an Asian version of a slaw. And in the last case, I'm going to make an actual pickled version of just some zucchini. We're going to serve them on these cute little oyster shells, and they've been bleached and purified so that they are hygienic for you to put back in your mouth. This is pickling spice, and it's what we use to make our pickled oyster. And I use water, and I add extra salt.
This is the first time you've ever done this?
Yes. Well, because you told me that we should do something with pickles. And it looked like it would be a fun idea to pickle an oyster. Go figure. We're going to make a sweet slaw by adding sugar and acid. In this case, your acid is champagne vinegar. It needs salt and pepper, and we are now classically pickled. The acid and everything else will work together, and in a few minutes, that will actually be cooked. Now, we're going to make an Asian cook. Again, it gets a little pepper, a little salt. Instead of champagne vinegar, we're going to use rice wine now. It needs a little bit of sugar. So we're going to take the oyster, and we're going to drop it right in, and we're going to add a little bit of fluid. That's the natural liquor of the oyster. It's what's left inside the shell. Right here is an Asian-style slaw. I have not made it spicy. Right here is a plain, simple pickle, slightly sweet one. And in here is an actual pickled oyster that's been cooked and poached in pickling spices.
Which one do you recommend I try first?
I think I'd go sweet, then spicy, then end with soft. Yep, shell's backwards. Round part of shell goes to mouth. And it will have this really wonderfully sweet flavor with then a rich, salty oyster.
It's like biting into summer on the beach. It's tangy.
I don't have my Asian bite, so we're going to make a non-Asian bite. It's the beauty of eating oysters and food. It's finger food.
A little spicy, a little sweet, a little taste of everything. And the salad is very flavorful. And you can still taste the fish.
There's still an oyster in it.
The oyster is perfectly matched with the flavors.
When you're working with a fresh product like an oyster, which is as delicate as it is, in the minute it hits that acid, she's cooking. And this one's slightly poached, and it will taste like a shrimp cocktail blend if you've ever eaten a real country club shrimp cocktail, because that's the flavors we used.
It's succulent. You just want to keep it in your mouth and let it linger. It's so good. And you know what's funny is that I taste just a hint of cinnamon. It definitely has. Yep.
There's cinnamon in it. Oysters are salty. Wine needs to be acidic. Therefore, oysters go with Sancerre and Sauvignon Blancs and the like. And they also go with big, bold, bitter beers.
Jay, this was awesome. As a treat to the Pickle Club TV members who watch this show, what will they get if they come into your restaurant?
Based upon your mouth and what you put in it, I'm going to guess that the pickled oyster by itself, with the plumpness and the slight cookness, is a great way for them to go. So that's what I would give them.
And it's also a good autumn pickle with the spices, especially the cinnamon. So you've got the autumn.
Yeah.
I'm Jennifer Takaki.
And I'm Jay Schafer.
Thank you for watching.